Hi there, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Watch by Ashley. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to spend some time discussing the newest addition to the Star Wars franchise that you can catch on Disney+. So I want to talk about Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. The show was created and written by Dave Filoni, and he also served as a supervising director for this project. And you know, he's been pretty steady when it comes to Star Wars and the animated series that have been coming out in the last few years. And this is no change here. This is another steady release from him. It's pretty great, actually. I know the last while Disney and Star Wars have been kind of having like a hit and miss scenario. I mean, of course, Mandalorian is a very strong release for Disney, but they kind of missed the mark with the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan series that was released earlier in the year. So I think they're still trying to fine tune exactly what fans are looking for. But, you know, Dave Filoni really delivers here. It's a really nice, compact mini-series, and it gives a lot of background to characters that we're already familiar with. I really did like the exploration of Ahsoka's origins and just showing how where she gets her rambunctious nature. It was well shown here. And then you have the other side where we get to see a little bit more of Count Dooku and how he actually came to be on the dark side. And it's a really great depiction here because it almost makes you sympathetic to his cause, because it wasn't all just a power grab or desire to turn evil. And so we get a bit more background here. Overall, there's very few things to not like about the show. If I was to nitpick things that kind of stood out to me, I mean, the first episode, it was a little bit questionable in terms of Ahsoka's mother bringing her out to hunt with her when she was like 1 year old and strapped to her stomach. Like, I don't know how she was going to hunt this gazelle kangaroo kind of creature and then bring the meat back home while carrying a baby. That seemed a little bit impractical. And also, again, nitpicking, I'd say like the voice actor that they chose to do to play Count Dooku kind of sounded more like Severus Snape from the Harry Potter series than Christopher Lee. So I thought that was a interesting choice. So it was, but like I said, overall the series is very good, very enjoyable. It's an easy watch, easy 6 episodes. Their episodes are less than half an hour, so you can breeze right through them. But that's my spoiler-free part of the review. If you're not interested in watching the show, I can give you a very brief summary of all the episodes. So let's get into it. Episode 1 of the series, it starts off with Ahsoka and her birth, actually. So we're on the planet Shili, and we get to see just the joy that the villagers have of this new baby. And after a year, Ahsoka and her mother end up going into a forest to do some hunting, where they're actually surprised by a large animal that ends up kidnapping Ahsoka. And the village ends up in a panic trying to find her, but she actually ends up using the Force to calm this large animal and get the animal to bring her back to the village. And when she's returned to the village, one of the elders actually says that she must be a Jedi. And so that was a very nice ending to that episode and very nice beginning to the journey of Ahsoka. Then in episode 2, we get to meet Jedi Master Dooku and his Padawan, Qui-Gon Jinn. And so they've been assigned on a task to visit a planet that has kidnapped the son of a senator. And the reason why the locals have kidnapped the senator's son is because they're living in horrible conditions. They're starved, they're being exploited, and the only way to get anyone's attention is to go through this kidnapping. And the Jedi kind of empathize with them because they can see like no one should live in these conditions. And even the kidnapped senator's son feels their plight. But when the senator ends up on planet demanding his son back, and there's a bit of a resistance, Lord Dooku actually ends up attacking the senator because he feels like you've neglected your people, you've neglected your role, you were not living up to the role of a senator, you're abusing your power. So this is where we get to see Dooku kind of start his slippery slope into the dark side, because he ends up going against the will of the Senate. Luckily, the situation is de-escalated by Qui-Gon Jinn, who stops Dooku from force choking the life out of the senator. But like I said, it leaves you with, this is the beginning of the end for Dooku in terms of him being a Jedi. And then we end up in the 3rd episode, where we get to see Mace Windu and Lord Dooku go on another investigation, but this time it's into the death of another Jedi. And so on this planet, again, we end up with a corrupt senator who has been mistreating his people. As a result, the security detail had killed the Jedi because they felt like the Jedi are just puppets for the Senate, and the Senate wasn't, the Senate hasn't been acting in the benefit of the people. And Dooku finds himself relating to these rebels, and he can understand their plight. He can understand why they feel frustrated and they're upset with the system. And he doesn't even have the same anger in terms of them killing a fellow Jedi anymore, because he feels like, you know what, we have been used as puppets, and it hasn't been a very good use of our abilities. And because Dooku, in his line of questioning and his pursuit of the truth, ended up getting the senator killed, he ends up getting passed for a seat on the Jedi Council. And of course this leaves him bitter because the seat goes to Mace Windu, who chose not to take any action in the scenario. So in episode 4, we actually see Dooku kind of being shady. He ends up deleting all the information on Kamino so that it's not in the archives anymore. And then when Qui-Gon Jinn actually comes back to the council and informs them that there is a Sith Lord, no one wants to believe him because it's just, to them, it's impossible and no one should be overreacting to it. Lord Dooku warns Qui-Gon Jinn that he believes him, but the council will not, so he has to be very careful. And then as time progresses, and as we all know, Qui-Gon Jinn does end up dying at the hands of Darth Maul. And that makes Dooku very upset because he feels like the council failed him. You know, they had an opportunity to give Qui-Gon Jinn the support he needed, and they didn't. Then we get to see Lord Dooku confront Sith Lord Sidious in regards to the fact that he let Darth Maul kill Qui-Gon Jinn. He was very upset. But unbeknownst to him, Yaddle was actually listening. Lord Dooku ends up killing Yaddle because he has to keep his transition to the dark side a secret. And this was the point of no return for him because he had been sabotaging the efforts of the Jedi for a while. But by killing Yaddle, he really gave into the dark side and proved his allegiance. In the 5th episode, we get to see Ahsoka again, and this time she is a Padawan of Anakin's. And Anakin isn't really satisfied with the training that she's gotten from the council in terms of the testing, so he creates a test for her on his own, and this one really hones in on her skills of defense. So it's very grueling, it's very hard, and Ahsoka really steps up to the challenge because she, of course, wants to impress her master Anakin. And this grueling test, it being so intense, is 100% the reason she was able to survive Order 66. The years and years of just honing in on those senses for defense are what saved her. And so it's kind of like a bittersweet moment because you could tell she really respected Anakin and she just wanted to impress him. And then we end up in episode 6, which is the final episode. It starts off with the funeral procession for Padme. So this is after Order 66 has been executed and, you know, everyone is kind of devastated. She risks being caught by going to the funeral. Senator Organa ends up telling her, like, if she ever needs anything, he'll definitely help her. She goes into hiding on a planet and works on a farm. She helps them until one day, of course, she's in a situation where she has to use the Force to save somebody. And that tips off a suspicious farmer who ends up reporting her, and an Inquisitor comes to the planet in search of her, destroying everything in his path. She ends up, of course, killing the Inquisitor, but she realizes that if she keeps running, more destruction is going to follow her. So Ahsoka ends up calling on Senator Organa to help the villagers, and she decides that she has to take a stand. So this is a nice ending to the series because then it kind of sets us up for whatever the Ahsoka series will set up in the future. So it's just a really nice tie-in there. And then, like I said, I really did like the fact that they explored Count Dooku's origin and how he became evil. So that was really well done. I really enjoyed the series. I highly recommend it. Those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the series, if you liked it. If you think Disney missed the mark again, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you've watched the video up to this point, again, thank you. If you like the content that you see here, please give me a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.